And I would like to start off by saying that I was never an overly spiritual person or at all spiritual. I never believed in love and light and positivity and angels and shit like that. I was acquainted with the New Age movement, but I quickly debunked it within myself as bogus and just as much useful as any other religion in this world. So I was always a very scientifically oriented person. I always needed proof, evidence, hard proof of whatever it was that I was investigating. If I couldn't get hard proof, then, or at least a plausible common sense theory, then I would simply disregard the subject and simply move on. So love was, and still is, a very interesting phenomenon for me to observe in this world, because I grew up basically asking myself, what is love? And it's so appropriate to hear different people ask the same questions, even in the form of songs like the one, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Yeah, that's exactly what love is. Love is the most sophisticated form of fear. It is basically making sure that we have security in the future, that we are safe from this big bad world. And the funny thing is that each and every single one of us, 7 billion, has their own individualized idea of love, which we have picked up from our parents, our social media, our surroundings, friends, family, everything. Mainly for me it was interesting to read in fairy tales, which I really loved to read. It was like an escape from this wretched reality that I live in. In fairy tales, there would always be a prince and a princess, and there would be some kind of calamity, and then they would come together, and then they would live happily ever after. Now, I was always interested what happens after that happily ever after, because I was looking at my parents, and my parents already had the coming together and living, and we were now existing in the happily ever after, or at least what was supposed to be the happily ever after the parents get married, after two people get married, and then they are supposed to live happily ever after. Now, what I observed in my parents' marriage was not at all happily ever after. It was more like miserably ever after, because, again, their definitions of love differed, their amount of self-love differed, and they were not able to peacefully coexist. They were not able to, first of all, give to themselves what they were demanding from other people, from each other to give them, but more importantly, there was no actual love to be felt, not even in terms of safety. And it's really funny how we keep believing in this idea of love despite all of the evidences against it. Like, watching our parents be unhappy and watching every second by now marriage end in divorce, probably even more. Watching all the wars, watching all the poverty and the rapes and the murders and the violence and the hatred in this world, and still clinging on to that idea, to that notion that we have of love, hoping that it is real. It's simply preposterous. So when I stumbled upon Desteni and actually read and had proven to myself that my observations about love in this world were actually correct and that it doesn't really exist, I felt like I was suddenly free of this amazing burden which requires me to, chase the idea of love and never give up until I fucking find it. Which is really funny because I have found the perfect male, and I have experienced the perfect infatuation and the perfect happiness and the perfect love, only to find out that all of those things, after a while, through a period of time, this happened over a period of 10 years, all of that love, infatuation, attraction, and all of that shit just turned into the opposite polarity of the hormones stopped working after 2 or 3 years, of course, and then the sex became boring, and then we tried to spice it up and nothing worked, and my interests started wandering, and I started asking myself again, for the second time in my life, is this what love is supposed to be like? Is this really love? Is love supposed to be this hard? Where is the love? And again, we come to a song from the Black Eyed Peas who ask the same fucking question, where is the love? When mothers are struggling to keep their children alive, children are starving, men are killing each other, people are getting raped, people are getting kidnapped to be sexual slaves, to be regular slaves, there is no love. Love is like the biggest illusion that we, humanity, have come up with as single individuals, so that we wouldn't have to be responsible for anything outside our little circle of people whom we know. And within that we exclude all of the rest of humanity. A whole planet is disregarded and ignored, while we individually chase that idea of love that we got from our family, friends, social media, and fairy tales. Meanwhile, actual love that would manifest in this world as actual safety for everyone doesn't really exist. Because if it did exist, we would have a system which would take care of every individual living being on this planet, instead of raping all the resources and people's minds and this whole existence so that we could get some profit, so that only a certain amount of people in this world could get some profit, because as we know, only 1% of elites in this world really live the way that a human should live, a dignified life with unlimited access to everything. A lot of questions come up right now, probably in terms of how would that be controlled, how would that be regulated, and for answers I suggest that anyone who watches this video and finds oneself in it, just check out the equal money system, Google the equal money system, and help manifest actual, practical love in this world, and not just some illusion that we never get to experience anyway. Thank you.